When you say it like that, yes. Like I remember I had tickets. I went to see Joan Rivers the day, I mean, I've seen Joan Rivers a million times, the day Michael Jackson died. It just happened to be the day. And she came up with a Michael Jackson joke. And she's like, sorry, it might be too soon for some of you, but I'm Joan Rivers. I
No,
was like,
she's the fucking goat, the goat, fearless. You know, she would always say, I love Joan, I knew Joan, but she would always say, you know, I'm saying what everyone's thinking, but too afraid to say. You know, if you don't address the elephant in the room as a comic, you're not doing your job. And I remember when Louis C.K., the night it all came out, I was on stage at the Cellar, and I got and you know everyone's like, you know, and I love Louis. I've known him forever. And I got on stage and I said, hey, before we begin, just wondering if it's okay if I masturbate in front of you. And it broke the tension. And I said, all right, I asked. At least I asked first, you know. And it just broke it, and it was out, and it was done. You know, because a joke is a buildup of tension and then a release. And Joan was the fucking queen of going there. And that is like, I wonder, I mean, don't you wonder what she would be talking about on stage, and what I just, I think about her every single day. Um, and she, yeah, it's, I'm sorry, if you're too sensitive, then don't go to a fucking, oh my god, I have to read something to you.
and then I was
Okay.
going to ask you, what do you think Joan would be talking about today? Well, you could read this first, but I mean,
Okay, I just want to read this so I was doing a set at the Cellar. Okay, hold on. And I don't know, it was right before oh fuck, it's not here. Oh, it's got to be here. Okay, whatever. Um, so I was doing a set, and you know, I love, one of the greatest things about stand up is there's no fourth wall. And you know, I love talking to the audience. I love crowd work. I've been doing it for, you know, 35 years, whatever, more. Um, and so there was these two people in the front. It was Christmas time, and the husband and a wife, they were young, they'd just gotten married, they were from South Carolina or something. And I was totally ragging on them, like, oh, you're from South Carolina. Oh, did you have any gays at your wedding? Any, you know, I was going off on their wedding, and they're like, yes, we did, Caitlin. I go, oh, Caitlin, your one gay friend. Oh my god, great. So you had one leslie, okay. And then I said, did you have any Jewish people at your wedding? And they're like, I don't think so. I'm like, great, great. And then I asked if they had any black people, and they were like, oh yes, my mother's friend. One, yeah. I said, her friend or her home health aide. Like, I was just totally ragging on as a joke. The husband, and the audience was fucking cracking up. The husband DMs me on Instagram about how, you know, his wife is in tears. We came to hear your comedy, and thank you for ruining our, and I'm like, oh my god. I said, listen, if you take yourself that seriously, you should really reconsider ever going to a comedy club, let alone sitting in the front row. Happy holidays. That's what I said. I just, you know, it is if Don Rickles, if you went to a Don Rickles show, right, and he didn't pick on you, he didn't abuse you, you'd be like, oh, I wish he had, you know, called on me. That's gone. That's gone. It's I just don't. I'm sorry.
I
It's
know I was
really,
gonna say when I couldn't see you would sit in the front row. Feel free to, like you said,
yeah,
if someone
absolutely.
wants to roast me on my 60th birthday, if Saturday Night Live wants to
Yes,
name check me as the most pathetic person that's ever existed,
right,
like by all means, please bring it on.
right. humility, truth,
And,
you
and
know?
I say the same thing you do. Like when people comment and did it, I'm like, don't listen. Like you don't have to listen to me every single day.
Right.
I'm not
They
forcing
love,
you to listen.
right. Everyone has a platform now, and everyone's opinion is equally valid. It's ridiculous. It used to be like, shut up, go to the basement, and go jerk off or whatever you do down there. And now it's, shut up, go to the basement, go on the internet and find 50,000 people who agree with you, and like a Yelp review. One Yelp review will ruin a business. One bad, like, oh, I didn't like the waitress, she was a bitch, so I'm gonna or server, I'm sorry. She was a bitch, so I'm gonna go and write a review, and I have this many followers, I'm gonna shut this place. No.
Yeah, I agree. And I'm always like, you're going to be offended by me again, probably soon. So, I mean, just
Then
cut your losses
right,
now.
right, right.
Like, I mean, I can't, and it's never something egregious ever. It's the most ridiculous thing like that. Like you were just telling me that story. I was like, did you see I was laughing? I could
Right.
picture
It
this.
was just hilarious because it's just making fun of them,
It is
being in
hilarious.
Miss New York, I go, it's whatever.
What do you think Joan Rivers would be talking about today on stage?
It's interesting because that's such a good question because I'm friends with her niece, who's just brilliant, Caroline. And so I wondered because she was such good friends with Donald Trump and she really, he really catapulted her, she reinvented herself on his show. And, if you look at old interviews, she really was very complimentary of him and effusive about him. And so I asked her, like, what do you think? Because I thought there's so many times I thought, it was divine intervention that she died before, he became president. Because of the divisiveness. If she had come out in favor of him with all her gay followers, and Caroline said to me, I don't think she would. I think the putting kids in cages things would have really sent her over the edge. She wouldn't have liked his policies. So I don't. I mean, I definitely think she'd definitely be talking about Harry and Meghan. She'd definitely be talking about Alec Baldwin and George Santos and you know. But I think it would have been really hard for her to navigate um, the politics of this, and because he would have come after her, you know, I absolutely, like, he came after so many comics. No, oh, no talent, no blah, blah, no one want, So I think her take on popular culture was, I mean, you like look. Remember, people used to get so upset when she made fun of what you call it, um, Elizabeth Taylor.
Yeah.
And she called a mutual friend of theirs and was like, "Is it bothering you? Is she okay?" And Elizabeth was like, "I don't give a shit." Now that happened. No one knows that happened, and it's like, so why is it bothering you if it doesn't bother Elizabeth Taylor? The only time Joan ever took a joke out of her act was Willie Nelson's daughter was like 11 or 12 and wrote to her and said, "Listen, I'm getting teased about this joke about him having some pot joke." And she took it out of her act. But,
Wow.
you know, seriously, you like this idea of like, all right, so we're talking about not doing jokes because it's going to offend people. And then that's number one, and then you think of these fucking librarians who are being told that they can't have books in their schools, the school librarians. It's fucking ridiculous. Toni Morrison. I mean, are you fucking kidding me? where does it end? This is like, this is what you know, you don't want to read it. You don't want your kid to read it. Then don't fucking read it. But art
Yeah.
is not to be erased because there's a word in there or a scene in there, you know, that you don't like. Too fucking bad. Who are you? You are not the fucking boss of, you know, everything is dangerous. Art is dangerous. And if it's not dangerous, then it's shitty. Then we're going to be listening to fucking, you know, Muzak and telling knock knock jokes. I can't fucking.
And how do you live your life? I mean, stay off social media, don't turn on the TV, don't leave the house, and just stare at the walls. I mean, I don't
Right.
understand. Like, if you're not
Like,
offended by this, you'll be offended by something else. Like,
right.
I do not understand that type of person at all. Like, I literally don't, because I'm like you. You could literally, you can go for the gay thing, you can go for the Jewish thing. Like, come at me if it's meant. Like, it doesn't bother me.
Right. And you can go for the gay and Jewish thing if you're not, you know, a homophobe or anti-Semitic. When
Right.
it's coming from, you know, like, here's an interesting thing. So I'm doing my off-Broadway show, and yesterday, you're the first person I'm telling this to. Yesterday, the publicist person, or the digital whatever, digital um, media person was like, listen, we want to do a post because it really is about, it's about stand up, the show, and it's about, you know, the people who shaped my sense of humor, um but also what happens, you know, when you silence comics. And so she said, I'm going through all these old videos and we're going to do like a Judy through the decades, um sort of digital post. And so I was and she was sent me clips and I was watching these clips. And in 1989, I was on stage and I talked about high school. I must have been like 26, 27. And I'm talking about high school. And I say, I was in the band. I was a band fag. And I say band fag on stage in 1989, which would, right, you know, someone could go post that now and be like, Judy said band fag. You know, think we evolve. There are certain every comic can go back 5 years, 5 years, and say, can't do that joke anymore. And that's fine. But you can't go back 40, 30, 20 years and start vilifying people, you know, for things they said. It is wrong. Like, as a gay, you know, all we do, you know, we've dealt with homophobia. I went through the fucking AIDS crisis, and all you want are these people to evolve and be like, you know what? I said horrible things, and I've since, you know, come to terms with the fact that my kid is gay, and I'm so sorry, and blah blah blah, and I support him or her, or they, them, or whatever. And then, you know, someone else, and they've done it. They've, you know, and yet they'll get called, you know, but 10 years ago you said blank. It's like, we're here to fucking make you evolve, and then when you do, we bring out, it's like being in a fucking bad relationship with someone who brings up old shit all the time. It's really, it's a waste of fucking time.
It is a waste of time. Like, you look at, like, so, like, for instance, like Chris Harrison from The Bachelor was canceled.